Okay, you are now ready to do some Cos Tan mixed problems in trigonometry. Um, Now to do these, it's the same old stuff you've been doing before. It's just keeping your eyes and ears open for clues, because there are word problems, and the questions aren't going to be nice and as organized and labeled as the questions you've done before. So what you need to know are two certain things. One is that you should label what you know. If you get a word problem and it tells you the lengths of some sides, don't be a hero and try to do it off the top of your head. Draw out a right angle triangle and label the sides and the angles. Once you have a diagram in view in your mind, then you can figure out what tactics you need to solve it. And then, what are your tactics? Use what you know. These are the three tools that are going to help you figure out the unknown sides and angles of a triangle. Our good friend Pythagoras will help out if you've got two known sides and one unknown side. The most commonly used one will be good old SOHCAHTOA or trigonometry. And then sometimes you don't have to use any of those things. It's the simple matter that, the angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees. So, for example, if you've got a triangle and it's a right angle triangle, which most of these ones are going to be, remember that boxy thing means 90 degrees. And let's say you're told that this angle here is 40, and the question is going on, and it gives you all this information, and they bottom line want to figure out what is this unknown angle right there. Well, you don't have to do this or that. You can just use the fact that the angles in a triangle have to add to 180. Well, if that's 90 and that's 40, it's 130 so far, it all has to add to 180, so that missing bit must be 180 minus 130, that's 50. So sometimes you don't have to use any of these two things. You can just use the fact that angles in a triangle for any triangle, always add to 180. Okay, let's just do some brush up refresher trig questions before we move on. So here's our theta. It's that angle there. Didn't have enough room to squeeze it into that little spot there, but that's what we're talking about, this angle here. We want to figure that out, and we have this unknown information. Now, if we wanted to, we could figure out this side length here. Using what? We could use Pythagoras, a squared, b squared, c squared. We know what that side is, we know what that side is, we have to figure out what that side is. But the question is not asking for that. Trust me, this question is asking for this unknown angle here. But I'm just letting you know. Kind of planting the seed for later on stuff. Anyways, we want to figure out this angle. Well, we have to know what are these sides in relation to that angle. Well, the boxy thing always points to the hypotenuse, so that means this side is the hypotenuse. And this angle here is what we're interested in. That is opposite from it. That is its neighbor, adjacent. So we're going to use hypotenuse and adjacent. And which of our SOHCAHTOA, which is something that I always write on the top of my worksheet or page that I'm working on, which of these three is going to help us out? Adjacent hypotenuse, cosine is going to work. So our formula is going to be cosine theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. We don't know what theta is, so we'll just write cos unknown theta. Remember, theta is an unknown angle. The adjacent side is 12, so we'll put 12 for adjacent. 13 is the hypotenuse. So this is our formula now. Let's figure out what is 12 divided by 13. Let's use our calculator. 12 divided by 13 is 0.92. Just go to two decimal places, that's fine. So 0.92 is what we get on this side. And then we have to figure out what theta is. But theta is being multiplied by this cos. How do you get rid of cos? Do you remember? Well, you have to do the opposite of cosine, which is the inverse cosine, which is shown like this. Cos to the -1. We have to do the same thing to the other side. Cos to the -1. Now, or inverse cos as they call it. When you do that to a cos, when you inverse cos a cos, the cos goes. away. And you're left with theta. Well, what is theta? Well, it would be 0.92, and we need to inverse cosine it. So let's take our 0.92, which is, look at that, right in the calculator already, and inverse cosine. Cos to the negative 1. Boom. And it gives us 22.6. It's going to round, that 9 is going to round that 1 to a 2. 22.62 is what we get. 22.62 degrees is our missing unknown angle. Now that we have this angle here, which we always had, that's 90. It always is 90, the boxy thing. We know that's 22.62. If we were asked to find this angle here, we could use the fact that angles in a triangle add to 180. So 90 plus 22.62 gives a number. Subtract that from 180, and that would give us this. Okay, just letting you know. But this is all this question was asking, so let's not worry about what I just said quite yet. Here we need to find this unknown length side of this triangle. And we're told this angle, which we always are, that's always 90, that little boxy thing. We know that's 50.1. That 50.1 should fit right in there, but it was just too big, so that's why they had to move it out. Now, again, if we were asked to find out, if we were asked to label everything that we know about this, we could actually figure what this missing angle is using the angles in 180 thing. 50 plus 90 is 140.1. And then 140.1 minus 180 would give us 39.9. So we would know that's 39.9. But we're not asked to find that. This is asking us to find x. So how do we do that? Well, for this side, we have to know what are these sides in relation to that angle. Well, that's the hypotenuse side. We don't need that, so let's not even use hypotenuse. That's adjacent. And this to that is opposite. So which of our SOHCAHTOA brothers and sisters are going to help us out with this? Opposite and adjacent, opposite and adjacent. Tangent's going to be our man. Tangent theta is opposite over adjacent. That's what that tells us. So we can use that as our formula. We know that the theta is 50.1, so let's go tangent 50.1 equals opposite. We don't know. You can call it as an O or call it X. I'll just call it op for opposite. If I just leave it as an O, it looks like a 0. And the adjacent we know is 5. We're not given any units here, so let's not worry about it. Tan 50.1, we got to figure what that is. Use your calculator. So we go 50.1 tangent gives us 1.2 decimal places. That actually at 5 rounds up to a 10, 10 that carries over. That gives us 1.20 right there, 1.20. So this is 1.20. Opposite over 5. You want to figure what the opposite side is. We're being divided by 5. How do you get rid of that 5? Well, you multiply by 5. Do the same to the other side. These 5s are going to cancel out. You're just left with the opposite side, which is what we want. 5 times 1.20, should be able to do it in your head. 5 times 1.20 gives us 6. 6. The unknown side is 6. Right there. Again, if now this unknown side here, we could figure that out. Once we know that's 5 and that's 6, we could use Pythagoras and figure out what that side is. But this question is not asking for that, so let's not worry about it. Okay, now, labeling triangles. The way that these word problems are going to be set up is that you're going to have to understand what they're talking about. They're going to use certain symbols. And these are the symbols that they're going to use. Let's say we're looking for angle A. The way that they're going to show angle A, the symbol that they use for angle A is this. Little angle sign like that. Oops. Angle A. So that means angle A. Angle C, the way they write angle C, again, is the little angle sign, and C. Very easy. And for angle B, they'll just go little angle sign B. Okay, so just getting you familiar with the symbols and terminology that they're going to throw at you in a little while. Now the sides. If the triangle is labeled fully, you can name the sides certain things. You just can't call it this side, that side, and the long side. This side here, what we know for sure about this side is it connects point A to point B. So the way that you'd show that, or label this side, you'd call this side AB. So it's AB, but to actually show that it's a length, a side length, you put like a little line on top of it. So that means that is side AB. What do you think this side will be called? BC. Side BC. And this one would be called side AC. Side AC. So just getting you familiar with the symbols and stuff that they're going to throw at you. So now you know the symbols. Now you're ready to do what's called solving for a triangle. So when they give you something like this, solve for triangle ABC, they're being lazy here. They're not asking you for one thing. They're asking you for a lot of things. Yet they don't want to actually write out the question for all those things. They want you to basically tell me, solve for, every single side and angle in this triangle. Okay, so that's what solve ABC means. So this is where we have to use our things. We label what we know, and then we use what we know. What do we know about this triangle? We've got to figure out everything about it. What we know about this triangle is that, well, we know of the sides, we know that side AB is 8. So side AB is 8. We also know that side BC is 9.5. We also know that this is 90 degrees, because that boxy thing is always 90. So how do you show that angle B is 90? Angle B is 90 degrees. That's what we know. What do we need to find out then? Well, we know this, we know that, well, we don't know this. So we have to figure out what is side AC. Don't know. We don't know what these two angles are. So we have to figure out what is angle A here and what is angle C here. So those are the two things we don't know. And now we've got to do a whole lot of stuff to figure out these three things. Okay, so let's do that. What should we attack first to figure out all the stuff here? To figure out side AC, to figure out this, we could just use Pythagoras, because we know this side, we know that side, we can figure out this side here. So let's first attack this. To figure out what is side, what is side AC? We're going to use Pythagoras, because we know what this side is and that side is. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. The A side, it doesn't really matter. Let's call it 8 plus 9.5 squared. And we don't know this side, which is the C side. It's the hypotenuse side, so let's call it C squared. And then we do our stuff. What is 8 squared? It's 64. What's 9.5 squared? I'll do it for you. 9.5 squared. We'll put there. 9.5 x squared button right there. 90.25 is 90.25, and we don't know the C squared. Let's leave that. Add these two together. 90.25, it's already in the calculator. plus 64 gives us 154.25. It always pays to keep what's in your calculator. Don't clear it. Just leave it. Put it to the side. 154.25. 154.25 equals c squared. What do you do from here? Well, when I get c by itself, being bugged by the squaring, opposite is square root. Same to the other side. That gives us just c, and we take the square root of 154.25. Square root sign is right there. Boom. Two decimal places, 12.42. 12.42 is our missing side letter C. Now that we know that, let's use it and label it in our triangle. So 12.42 is, actually that should be side AC. So side AC is 12.42. So now that is off our needed list. And it's joined this list, which I'm not going to add to because it's going to get messy. What's angle A? Angle A is right here. Now we got a ton of options. So I could use angle A. I could go adjacent hypotenuse, or from angle A here I could go adjacent opposite. I have a lot of things I could use here. I like using tangent. If you haven't noticed, I like using tangent. So to figure out angle A, I'm going to use this number and that number. Again, you could use that number and that number. Or you could use this number and that number. You could use any one of the SOHCAHTOA ones. But for this one, I'm going to use these two numbers to figure out that angle. So angle A now. I'll squeeze it on the side here. To figure out what angle A is, I'm going to use this number here, the adjacent and the opposite to that angle A. So SOHCAHTOA, I'll write it out again. SOHCAHTOA, the opposite and adjacent. Tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Now, we don't have to write in theta. If you want, you could, instead of theta, you can write in the name of the angle, which is A. But when you do that, I don't know, it gets confused with this adjacent thing. So let's just leave it as theta. That's why they use that, just so it doesn't get confused with other letters. Okay, so we don't know the angle. I don't know why I always go from capital when I first write it out to lowercase t. The next line, but I always do. Anyways, opposite, 9.5. Adjacent is 8. 9.5 divided by 8. Clear that off. 9.5 divided by 8 is 1.1875. Just round it to two decimal places, 1.19. 1.19. Tan theta. How do we get rid of the tangent? Just keep the theta. Inverse tan. Sorry, not that. And then we do the same to the other side. Inverse tan here, that cancels out. You're left with theta. Theta is inverse tan of 1.19. I'm going to use the rounded version of 1.19. Inverse tangent gives me, there's the angle, 49.96. 49.96. That is that. Alright, so that is angle A, 49.96 right here. 49.96. Okay, so angle A is now into the known column. We figured it out. We're just left with angle C right here. We have two options. We could figure out angle C based on trigonometry. There's the adjacent, there's the hypotenuse, there's the adjacent, there's the opposite, or, come on, why would you do all that stuff when you can use this fact here, that angles in a triangle add to 180. If you know what two of the angles are, you can figure out the third one. Whoops, whoops, whoops. So I know what that angle, I know that angle, 49.96, and 90 gives me the leftover. So to get angle C, I know that 49.96 plus 90 is going to give me, well, sorry, plus that angle C is going to give me 180. I just got to figure out what that is. So you just add these two and subtract from 180, or do it this way, the three angles plus the unknown C gives us 180. If you do it this way, here's how I'll just do it all with you. That plus that gives me 139.96 plus C equals 180. Subtract 139.96 from both sides. And you end up getting hang on a second here. Sorry, you end up getting 180 minus 139.96. You get a final answer of 40 degrees. 2 decimal places. So we'll go 40.04 is what it said on there. That is our third angle, 40.4 degrees. 40.04 degrees would be this. Whoops. 40.04. And we're done. It's all labeled. Because it's a lot of work here. If you could just label it at the end what everything is, so it's easy for me to see. So side AC is 12.42. Angle A is 49.96, and angle C, we figured out using the other rule, was 40.04. Okay, I'm not going to do this one fully for you, but if you're given a word problem like this, here's how you'd handle it. I'll just start it for you, and you can do it as part of the skill testing questions. So in triangle ABC, you're given that angle C is 90, BC is 5.4, and AC is 7.1. Solve for that was just, so here's a triangle. Angle C is 90, so that means this must be 90. And that must be angle C. That could be A, that will be B, and that C. So it goes this way, A, B, C. Anyways, so that's 90, angle C. BC is 5.4, so BC is 5.4. That's what that means. And AC is 7.1. AC is 7.1. So now what you have to do is figure out the unknown things. What's unknown? Well, we don't know what side AB is. So we have to solve for side AB. And we don't know this angle here, angle A, and we don't know angle B. So we're going to have to figure out what's angle A and what's angle B. We have to figure out what those three things are. So I'm going to give you some time. You do that on your own as part of your skill testing questions. And here's two more skill testing questions right here for you. So you either do three all together. I did the first. I kind of got the first one. The first one's ball rolling. You do the rest. So solve all the things for this triangle and solve all the things for that triangle. Let me see at the end there. There. Okay, so finish off this question and then these two skill testing questions as well. Show me that and you're good for the notes. Thank you. Bye-bye.